Check the double check last week. Okay, okay. To my phone here. Ramadan. See if I'm centered. Tell me if I'm centered. No, look, on the camera.
You're pretty similar.
Okay, thank you.
So, because like the things in there, which is partials and work. Just can't quite over here. It's a little bit. And then like right there, we like right there at the top.
You showing me some of the subject. I'm just getting it for a second. Thank you. I don't know why I didn't screen that, but whatever.
It's an important copy here, but it's.
That's okay. I think I'll be here for a couple of minutes. Assalamu alaikum. I really apologize for this delay. Yeah, excuse me. So we're about to get started. We're here for our fourth Sunday public address here at the Ephraim Bahar Culture Center with the Ephraim Bahar Culture Center in Masjid El Taqwa. And we have a special guest, an attorney, who wants to share some information with us on business strategy for small businesses and entrepreneurship. So I'm going to read her bio for you and just give you a little background on her, her business and her some of her strategies. So, pronounce your name? Tanya.
Tanya.
Okay, Tanya. I'm pronouncing it wrong. Thank you. Tanya is a seasoned business strategist, intellectual property attorney, founder of The Culture is Local, and host of The Culture is Local podcast. She is deeply dedicated to helping small businesses, entrepreneurs, especially women, scale with purpose, protect their brand, and create lasting impact in their communities. With a unique blend of legal acumen, entrepreneur insight, and hands-on experience as a former boutique fitness studio owner, Tanya knows firsthand the challenges that local and community-focused business owners face. Through her foundational six-pillar framework, Tanya provides clients with actionable strategies to address core business areas such as brand protection, operational efficiency, client experience, financial stability, and leadership. Her approach emphasizes clarity, sustainability, and community guiding entrepreneurs to scale without burnout and to build brands that stand out. Passionate about her helping her clients tap into their unique value, Tanya offers comprehensive services from target action plan and group workshop to execute coaching and robust digital learning hub. Her mission is to empower small business owners to not only achieve success, but also to create brands that honor their local roots, diverse culture, and unique communities. She, she never misses a moment to remind entrepreneurs that their business are one of the most important and rewarding ways of building generational wealth. When she is not mentoring emerging entrepreneurs or brainstorming ways to support business through economic shift, she enjoys running, teaching fitness classes, and training puppies mislabeled as aggressive breeds and their pet parents so that these puppies can stay out of shelters. Regarding her educational background, Tanya is a graduate of Sister Claire Muhammad School, the University of Virginia, Charlottesville. She received her JD from Howard University School of Law and her LLM from John Marshall Law School, now the University of Illinois Chicago Law School. So without further delay, we would like to bring up Ms. Tanya M. Fisher. What's the ESQ?
Oh, the Esquire, that's
Oh, Esquire.
for the attorney, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you can come up. Mhm. And these are two speakers, you just pin them on some kind of way. Mhm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Should us, pin both.
Yeah. One is for the Zoom, the other for the in-house.
Oh. And then. Want to let everyone in. I want to share that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So whenever you all are ready, I'll go. All right. Take your time to. All right. So everybody, just want to make sure that, am I on, Mammy? He's on the phone, okay.
Mhm.
All right, inshallah, I'll get started if everyone's ready. You want me to stop sharing? Alhamdulillah. It's one of my favorite things to do. I think my face is stuck in smile mode. I like ever since I was a kid. It's so comfortable.
Do you have a waiting room set up or your participants are waiting to be connected?
Yeah, because I'm on as, oh, did I get host? Let's see. It's showing. because I'm on you all's, but no, not on my side.
No, there's no hold on it, I can go straight in. There's no, wait,
Yeah, that's what he's saying too.
there's no way.
Yeah.
Just click on the link and
I have a message from Sharika, it says, I still have a message waiting for the host to start the meeting next to their hot wash,
Oh, they're clicking on, Mesha Takwa instead of the one for the Ephraim Baha Center. That's what it is.
I don't know which one, if you just resend it, because we sent it out on our list. So
You probably click the second one.
it's the same one that, you know.
Yeah, it's picking up the screen. Yeah, I was trying to keep the screen up, but, yeah, I think they were saying that maybe match their channel, they can't get connected.
No.
You got in on that one?
Yes, we are looking, the one that we sent out, we just clicked on it and we can all get in. So if they're using our regular one, then that might be a problem with the one we sent out today. No. That should not hold.
You said if you're using the regular line,
Let's see that.
that's right. If it- Well, anyway, you just don't do anything.
You have that one, you want it from
So just for a second, I want to say Assalamu alaikum to everyone. And I'll say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I bear witness to the fact that Allah is the only God, there is no God but Him, and that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his last messenger and servant. Okay, so I'm going to get in. I just want to share my screen. I just wanted to say Assalamu alaikum to everyone before I started so you can see my face. I'm so excited to be here. I have a lot to cover. I'm going to go back to the first one of the slide and we'll see if I'm sharing. So everyone able to see that one because I can't see it behind me. Okay, alhamdulillah. So I do want to make sure that this is very interactive so that if there are any questions, I'm going to go through slides pretty quickly. Everyone, please take notes how they like to. At the end, I have sort of a template or a note-taking PDF for everyone if you need to, but it's much better if we just kind of look at the screen while I talk. Okay, so I am going to go back to that first page and go, there we go. All right, so first again, my name is, most people know me as LaTanya Fisher from Sister Claire Muhammad School, but I also go by Tanya Fisher. I am an attorney. Our talk today, let's see if I can go back on one, is the CEO mindset and business foundations to go from struggling small business to a thriving company. And it's because a lot of us do have amazing businesses. It's just that maybe they're not where we would love them to be right now, or we're just working a lot harder than we need to. And it's because many of the times we start our businesses. However, things just, move quickly. We get successful, we get our customers, we get our clients very quickly, and we don't necessarily set up the foundations. Also, a lot of the times are that we just don't know what we don't know. And again, I am an attorney, so I will talk a little bit about some legal aspects of small businesses. And if you have any questions about that, please let me know, but mostly this will be business-based. Okay. So for most that who do have small businesses, and I'll define small business a little bit, you could be one person with your business, or you can small business with the Small Business Administration, I think it's defined as having less than 500 employees. So when we think of small, and that's what I want to talk about today, it's coming out of labeling ourselves as small business owners or thinking of our business as something small and insignificant, because one person, it takes one person, one idea, and you only need one person to collect money, one person to give you money, right? So you don't need a big, humongous team to have a grand global business. But in order for your business to be a grand global business, you're going to have to think about it as a company instead of a small business, something insignificant. And you could be someone who is just selling pies, or you can have a bakery. And this will all make sense a little later, as you'll see a lot of bakery items come up because I'm going to use that as an example. But generally, even myself, I'm a one-person show, right? So I have a small business, but I do big things. And whatever you're doing, you have to think about, it doesn't matter how many people are behind the scenes or how many people are in front of the scenes, or even how much money is coming through. It's a grand business because it's yours, number one, and it's how you present it to others, okay? So what makes our businesses small a lot of times, again, not the people, not the product or service, not the money coming in, but it's how we are thinking and how we're sending out the message to others that our business is small and tiny. And, we'll go to Jewel or, Whole Foods, Mariano's, Pete's, or whatever, but we won't go to even some of our corner store businesses because we're like, oh, well, they're not going to have what I want. This is automatically in our minds. We're not even going inside of our corner stores, right? We're just like, well, they're on the corner. They don't have what we need. But the thing is, small businesses are the best and they are the backbone of our communities because they know what our neighborhoods need. You go into Jewel, now I live in Bronzeville. The Jewel now has halal foods, but they only have halal foods because we have a larger Indian population because of the students. But just a couple months ago, they didn't even have foods for that population. They're starting to get it in, but I bet you there's a store like on 35th that is a smaller store that always has halal foods and vegan foods there. And that's where we pass through because we're like, oh, it's on the end of the corner, but that's a big business to us. And we just have to think like we have a company instead of a small business. And one of the things we have to stop doing it all. Even if you're the only person, don't do it all. You don't need to do it all. There are so many other things that you could utilize in your daily business, things that you are using. I have a phone up here somewhere that you are using all the time that could really make your business be competitive with the big ones. I'm not going to say we're as big as, Microsoft and Apple, but we're going to think that way. But we can use what we get from Microsoft and Apple to make our businesses larger. So we'll talk a little bit about the difference between surviving and thriving. But because I am an attorney, and please use me today, because you all know I'm an attorney. So if you have legal questions, this is the time to get it in, even if I am talking about business. I have to say it is the disclaimer, and I'm going to read it more or less. This presentation will make you aware of some of the things that a lot of legal aspects, a lot of legal considerations that you have to go through and deal with in your businesses, but I am not your attorney. This is not legal advice. And this talk, me speaking with you, answering your questions, does not create an attorney-client relationship, okay? So with that, if you do need an attorney, please, find one in your jurisdiction. And I always tell people, not only someone in your jurisdiction, but someone who understands your business. And if you have, again, we'll talk about bakeries. If you have a small bakery, you want someone who understands being food services, maybe baked goods, brick and mortar versus someone who's doing real estate, okay? Yes, all lawyers can help, but you try to find the one that knows a little bit more about your business, and also find business consultants. You don't always need lawyers. But for that being said, again, not legal advice, but I can answer some general questions. One of the things that I do, my business it's called The Culture is Local. And I also have a podcast, so you can get that on Apple and Spotify. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of things that I'm talking about here today, I talk about free on the podcast, but The Culture is Local is very important to me because the thing I want you to think about when I say that is that, again, we're talking about local businesses. So when you have these smaller businesses, you are making so much positive change and effect in your communities. So that culture is that we are really here to uplift our communities and also to receive support from our communities. And also, it's because you want to use the culture of either your ethnic background or just the background that you have. So when you're thinking about that, I deal with a lot of neighborhood as well as community-focused businesses. And when I'm talking about community-focused businesses, maybe it's the Muslim community, maybe it's a community, a running community, maybe it's a sewing community, a vegan community. You know, it's just that you are focused on really giving services and impacting the community that you are presenting your business to. So what I do, actionable strategies, and the only reason I'm telling you about my business, because you're going to utilize me today. You're going to ask me every question. So for you to be able to do that, let me get through. Again, I teach community-focused and neighborhood small business owners how to strategically grow and legally protect their businesses. And that's important. And my bio was already said. So if you could see really quick, I'm going to move right along because I want to get through with what we're going to cover. I have a 6-pillar framework. I call it the 6 M's, and we'll go over that a little bit. And so we'll talk about that. And I know we're talking about small business, but these are things that we can apply to our everyday lives. It's just the way that we do things, the way that we handle our finances, just our homes are our businesses as well many times. So if you're thinking about that, and just a clear action plan and Q&A. The first thing is, let's see what's going on here. There we go. I want you to think, build, and lead and succeed like a CEO. Again, yes, we are owners, leaders, operators of small businesses, but what do CEOs do? CEOs of a business, they don't necessarily even own the business. What they do is they get the strategies together to make sure that that business stays afloat. And another thing that I like to talk about is generational wealth. Okay, we're not just creating businesses, because that's the mindset sometimes, just to make sure that we're putting food on the table today. So we want to have these businesses that are legacies, that create generational wealth, yes, for our particular personal families, but also for our community, particularly those who have community-based businesses. So when you are thinking about your business and transitioning your mind to be that amazing, extraordinary CEO that you are of your business, you want to think about, even if you've been in business 20 years, where do you want to take that business? Where do you want to be? Alhamdulillah, we're at the end of the year and we still have a little time. You know, if 2024, you didn't hit that threshold that you wanted to, we still have time. There's still many more days, but where do you want to take that business? Not necessarily at the end of 2024, 2025, maybe 5, 10 years down the line. Where do you want to see it go, the succession of it? Maybe if you don't want to run that business anymore, maybe you want to pass it on to a family member or the like. So you want to think about that. And then again, what makes our businesses so small is the fact that we're really just running businesses. We're not growing. We're not reaching our visions, our goals. We're just running our business. So we're going to shift that to leading the business no matter what. And then you're going to think in terms of strategies instead of tasks, instead of this is what I have to do today. This is how much money I have to make it through the end of the month. This is what I have to order for the cakes that I'm doing next week. And again, you'll understand why I keep saying bakeries in a second. All right, I think I got stuck. All right, let's go back. All right, so when you're thinking about your business, I want everyone to think about what is your cash flow? So the flow of your business, everyone knows cash flow, cash in, cash out. And we like it when there's a lot more cash coming in than going out, but you do, no matter what, need to know what is coming in and what's going out. But we're always thinking about money because we were told, and it is true, that a business is one that makes money. But we can all make money and not even be a business. It's the amount of money that we are bringing in and keeping and not sending back out. But what I want us to think about too, the time, your energy, okay? Like you could be coming in, these people, you see everyone talking about, oh, we're gonna make 6 figures. I think we're up to 8 now. Everyone's making 8 figures. It was, you're gonna make 100,000 a year. It was 7 figures, but that's, no one wants to make 7 figures anymore. Now everyone wants to make 8. And many of us, include myself, we're just trying to make $1. Okay, so let's bring it back in because we don't know a lot of the things that go on when we're going for that 6 figure, that 7 figure, that 8 figure. And you can make $1 million easily. But if you're spending 1.1 million to make that million, you're in the hole, all right? So just because someone is saying that their business is making a lot of money or their business is showing that there are billionaires, but there are a lot of billionaires who have billion-dollar businesses, but they don't have billion-dollar take-home income. So it's the difference between what's going in, what's going out, what's coming in, okay? But most important is the time that you're putting in. And I always tell people, another thing with small businesses is that we all mostly need to be mindful that we are violating labor laws. And I say this because we will create something and we're gonna spend 20 hours on it and we made $100. So if you were working for a company and they gave you $100 and you showed up for 20 hours, what would you do? You would leave, right? You were like, I don't know where you're going to get that money from, but either you need to pay me or I'm leaving. And that's how we have to think about our own businesses. We are violating so many labor laws by not paying ourselves, and maybe we can't pay ourselves with money, but you have to think about your labor, your time. If you were to hire someone else, would they accept those same conditions that you are working under? I don't think so. So you have to see yourself then not only as a CEO, even if you're one person, lead yourself, have strategies, make sure you are not shortchanging yourself so that you can just, and I don't like to say hobbies because you have businesses, but a lot of times what we're doing, we're creating businesses where we're paying people to actually patronize us. And there is nothing wrong with charity, but call it what it is than saying that, just give it away because you're giving it away anyway. And, save yourself some time, headache, heart, sweat, blood, and tears if that's what you're going to do. So think about yourself and that energy and that time that you're putting in. And I'm not saying, yes, you're going to have the money to pay yourself all the time, but think about, would you work under those same conditions if you were your employee? And another thing we don't do, and I know it's up there, is we're so busy making that next sale, getting that next customer, that we forget about the dream that we had for the business, the vision that we have, and just our general personal growth. There are many times I've gotten into doing a business that it's a skill I can do, but it's not a skill that I should be concentrating on. So then I spend so much time doing that I don't maybe go back into the business, do the legal, do the business consulting or so like that. So maybe I'm putting someone's schedule together. I'm great at that. I can put a schedule together for everybody. I can do a whole bunch of things, but that's not where I make the most impact. So while you are building your business, even if you're seeing money come in and you're saying, oh, this is so amazing, this money is coming in, I'm starting to see revenue, that's money coming in. We're going to talk about profit. Is it the business that you really wanted? Is this the impact that you wanted to have? So really quick, these are my 6 M's that I like to put together and have in people's minds if you're thinking about it. Mindset, money, messaging, methodology, momentum, and maintenance. And not the, most flashy wording, but these are very important things to think about. So these are the 6 M's we're going to talk about that are going to give you business success. And I'm going to go through it quickly. I'm talking fast because I want to get to your questions. Mindset, again, just cultivating that CEO mindset. Again, it's about strategies and not tasks. Money. When you are starting a business or you're growing a business, I do a lot with stabilizing businesses. One of the things I should have mentioned is that a lot of times people come to me again because they started a business and they're doing great, but they want to grow and there's gaps. And we want to make sure that those gaps don't turn into ditches, okay? That you don't fall in. We're okay with the few cracks, but we need to get those foundations together. So a lot of it, money, money, money. I say this a lot again, and I mentioned it a little earlier, that we tend to fund our businesses. And not only do we fund our business, but we pay for people to buy from us. So we want to talk a little bit about that and some ways to sort of manage costs, where you're getting the money from. If it's a side business, yes, you can get money from your regular 9 to 5 or something, but you should be getting the money to grow your business from the business, not from your job. And we'll talk about just getting resources. The key is people say you grow your business with other people's money. And you should. That is the way it goes. So messaging, I'll go back for a second. That's important, your brand's voice, and we can spend a little bit of time about that. Just, who are you? What are you providing? What's your vision? What's your mission? And things like that, as well as when you figure out who your audience is. And you'll hear a lot of people say, who's your ideal customer? I'll talk about that in a second. And your ideal customer is not an imaginary person. A lot of times, I'll say for my business, I have we'll go into my fitness business. I used to have a fitness studio. So mine is one who wanted to work out, and they liked high-end services, and they liked marble counters and things like that. And I had a lot of these things in my studio, and I had a smaller studio in the beginning. And my members said, this is cute. We just wanted more space. We want more classes. And so you have to listen to your customers. But another thing is the ideal customer, your true, what I call your perfect match, ideal customer is someone who's going to pay you for what you offer, not someone who's going to say, well, could you substitute this for that? We'll go into the cakes in the bakery, you'll see in a little bit. But if I'm doing red velvet cake, we're doing red velvet cake. We're not doing red velvet cake with a little German chocolate in the middle or something, half tiramisu, something like when you open it up, it's a rainbow cake or something. You're like, wait, no, I'm doing red velvet cake. And that's your ideal customer who is saying, okay, I want your rainbow cake and I'm going to pay you. And I'm going to pay you the $50 I know that it costs instead of the $20 that I really want to pay you, So that's who your ideal customer is. And if you are making red velvet cakes, don't run after the people who want lemon cakes, okay? If your specialty is red velvet cake, there is someone out there for everyone, and there is somebody willing to give you money. The thing is to change the way that your messaging goes out. Instead of saying, yes, I do gourmet cakes. My specialty is red velvet cake that you can't get anywhere else. It's the most moist red velvet cake ever. You've never tasted anything like this or something like that. You just keep saying red velvet cake, gourmet red velvet cake. Nothing about lemon, nothing about you taking special orders. Okay, but we'll go into that a little bit more. Next one, methodology. So we're on 4 right here, and that's just building systems. So again, we're going to go into this bakery and you'll see why, but just to make sure that you have your system set up, even if you're one person, it's okay. Utilize, and we'll talk about this, utilize technology. Easy. You don't have to go into a lot of things with technology. Most things you could do on your phones, and you don't need an iPhone, even for those who have iPhones, who are iPhone people. The simplest of things, you could just grab internet or something. You don't have to have anything elaborate, but you have things that'll help you out. A lot of things I use, I don't even use apps. I use a simple spreadsheet, a Google Sheet, a Excel or something. Well, easier, Google, free, Excel, we have to pay for, right? So we're going to talk about some things that will help you not spend $1 million to make a dollar, but to spend no dollars to make $1 million. So that's what I want to say. So let me get on with this. So momentum, another thing is too, that you're going to do things that keep the momentum going. So you're going to stay consistent. And the things with consistency, again, we're talking about you're doing red velvet cake, keep with red velvet cake, stay consistent with that. Just because someone says, oh, well, it would be nice if you made red velvet cupcakes, and maybe you can do that again. But then you start making the cupcakes. Remember, I said there are things you do in your business you can do, but that's not your main thing. You start making the cupcakes, you lose your cake customers, right? And those are the $50 customers. Now you're looking at the $2.50 customers. And you have to make a whole bunch of those, which means you need more equipment. You're running through a lot of things. So these are the things that you want to keep in mind. And that's why on this screen, you'll see the kitchen, because it can start from you being in your home kitchen. Then there's that commercial kitchen to maybe you have a bakery, high end and several, right? So just because we're starting in our kitchen doesn't mean that what we're doing in our kitchen doesn't get to that high-end bakery somewhere else. It doesn't have to be ours. Maybe we're getting our foods, our goods into another person's business. All right, and the last thing is maintenance. And maintenance is so important, and that just means to maintain your, I would say, I'm going to put it this way, your status, your success, and to do so, making sure that you are following all the things for your legal, you need to be in compliance, but also business compliance. And that's the thing. Legal, we sort of know about and we think about, I'm going to give us ways not to ignore that. But one of the things that gets us in trouble is even our municipal, your town, your city, your state business requirements. I'm talking about a bakery. If you're doing baked goods, you need to know about handling food. Do you need a specific license for that? Is there a specific kitchen you have to be in? Can you do it from your home? Can you sell from your home? Things like that. And a lot of times you can, you just have to find out, what do I need to do? What do I need to know? Okay, so you just want to make sure that not only do you know your numbers, but that your operations are running smoothly and that you are staying in compliance with the law. And we'll talk about that. All right. So really quick, we talked, I'll go through this again. You start with your vision. That's when you're cultivating that mindset, long-term and short-term goals, okay? Your why. This is important. I'm glad we stopped on this. When everyone asks your why, all of us who've been in business, everyone's like, oh, what's your why? What is your why? What is my why? I have two whys. There is my personal why, and then there's the why for the business. And your personal why can be whatever you want it to be, but it has to be personal to you. And you always put that why first. Of course, you always put a law first, but you put that why in your business first for you. Why do you want it? People say, I just want to make money. And they're like, oh my goodness, that's the worst thing you could say. That's what you want to do. If you want to have a business and all you're worried about is making money and impact, there's none of that. That's fine. That's you and how you do your business. But really, when I'm thinking about personal, you think about, where do you want to be next week, 30 days down the line, 5 years? Do you want to constantly be making cakes? Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to teach someone else how to do what you're doing. Maybe you want it mass produced, rather, I should say, and things like that. So you think about what works for you. I personally like to be in an office. I do. I'd like to be in an office at home. So, there are people, because they're always like, well, I'll teach on the beach and everything. It's hard for me to be on the beach with my laptop. So if I'm going to work, I want to work in a nice home office with a nice desk. But some people really want to travel and they work better in airports or things like that. You just have to think what works for you. The second why, that's your external why, then could be for your kids, right? Or you, whomever, you want to be at home for your kids, your spouse. You want to make sure that you don't miss any event. You want to make sure, you know, if your Meshed has an amazing community event, that you're always able to get there and not have to say, I'm at work. Okay, that's your external, or that you really want to make positive effect in your community. Like, I love dogs, okay, and I want to make sure that dogs that are considered aggressive breeds don't end up in shelters when they don't need to. That's my external why. So you always have that, but your first why is your internal why. Why is it important for you to even have a business? And what are you going to get out of it? That's really what you should think of. What are you going to get out of it? Then your second why is what everyone else will get out of it, okay? So that's a big one for me when I want to talk to you about why. And then your strategy goes from there. Money. I'm going quickly. When we start a business, we generally fund it. It's just, you know, when you're small, especially, again, neighborhood community focused business with one person, and a lot of times it starts out, I'm going to go with that bakery again. We start with those good cakes and someone's like, those cakes, that's an amazing cake. That is good. You should sell it and do that. So what do? We pull out our own money, or we take out loans, and we don't think about it. We're constantly just putting money into the business. And there may be money coming in, we're making sales, but we're not making profit. We're steadily always on that, okay, I need to sell something else just to make the next cake. And you don't want to be at that. So you want to understand, what about the ingredients? What, the labor again, how much is suppliers? You want to think about, when I'm talking to suppliers or I'm looking for ingredients, yes, you want the best ingredients, but are there places or ways that maybe you can get them for a little less, right? And we don't create budgets because we know how much stuff costs, right? We're always knowing how much something costs. So why do we need a budget? We always need a budget. This is the things we do at home. We need to know, because this has happened to me many times. You know, even when you have business, your business, things go on. COVID happened and you may have had money coming in all the time, and then now it slows up. So we don't plan always for things to happen, or even if we do plan, we don't keep that, what do we call it, that rainy day fund. You need a rainy day business fund, even if the money is constantly coming in. Because I can tell you, think about this too, as work. If you're working and you get laid off, then the resources are few and far between. So this is what you're thinking about with your business too. So you want to budget. And my mother always says, and I think she got this from her mother, you stay within your means. This is just like how your business is. Regardless of how much money your business is making, you don't need to spend more money to make that money, okay? There are some things that you can do to grow, but if you have that kitchen, if you can still make that same amount of money with the same amount of effort and not be overwhelmed, keep the smaller kitchen for a little bit. And then you can expand slowly, because we also, with thinking about being a company and getting bigger, we expand too quickly. And, oh, that may be me. Okay, put my hands down. All right. So I was like, where's that noise coming from? It's coming from me, so forgive me, everyone. But sometimes we expand too quickly and then trying to be too big within our small things. All right. So also, money for small businesses. And I want you all to think about it. I know I'm in Chicago, that there are so many resources that you can get money from. But we don't know this. We don't even know, like in our own neighborhoods. And you're going to have to do research. It's one of those things, people aren't going to tell you where the money's at. You know, for those who know where the money's at, they're trying to get the money, right? So, and it's not that people are always trying to gatekeep either. It's just that they don't know what you need, but they know what they need. So the same resource that you may be getting money from, say if you're in the food business, I think there's Allied, I cannot think of, I'll have to look it up and give it to you. But I know in Chicago, they have a food service funding. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Moxie, there just, if you look around, there's another, and it's a Black-owned business. I think they have a co-working, maybe coffee, that helps with food services, again, that they give training to you so you can get certified and understand your business. But who knows about it? And sometimes we know about things and we don't pass it along. So ask your community, ask people, and then you're going to have to look it up. Just put it in that search engine and find out, but you have to look personally. All right, so the next thing I have is about crafting your brand's voice. And we talked about this a little bit. If you're a local business, you talk to people, you say, hey, again, if you have, we're talking about the corner store bakery, why it's better to order from you, why it's better to stay in the community. Yes, we should all know that it builds up your own community, but maybe you can get things quicker. I know Amazon is supposed to do something overnight, but when Amazon gives you something, maybe it's a lot of preservatives in it, right? So yes, you got it in a day or an hour, but what had to go into that cake to get to you to be able to be available in 1 hour? When maybe if you just wait another hour or 30 more minutes, I could get you a cake with all healthy ingredients or exactly what works for you. And maybe, you know, not so much sugar, not so much salt, not so much preservatives or something like that, and moist. Okay, so that's what you're thinking of. So you have to tell people. And again, you figure out who your customer is, you speak directly to them, you figure out what problem you're solving, and you focus on that. All right, so you tell them your brand is how people perceive you, but you can't let your customers also dictate your business, right? They can see you as having a very positive, a business full of integrity, you know, it's very ethical, great ingredients and things like that. You want to be known for that, but you also don't allow your customers to tell you what to offer. All right, systems again, just making sure that if you're going to offer something, you have a way of doing it. Think of assembly lines, all right? You automate where possible. Again, if you're taking notes, you can ask me these questions because it depends on whatever business. Utilize apps if there's something that works with you. If you do something twice, there's always this thing. If you do something twice, write it down because that's your system. So if you do the same way, even if it's your recipe and you whisk with your right hand and then you send it over to your left hand for 20 seconds, that's something you do, write it down. That's the way that you create your procedures. And you may hear, and for those of you who have businesses, that standard operating procedure, because what if something happens that, and I'm saying you're not there, meaning maybe you want to go on vacation. Nothing bad is happening. You just want 5 minutes to yourself. You want to go somewhere, right? You just want to get some sunshine at some point. You don't want your business to fail because you decided, you know, you wanted to get some air for once. So have the systems written down or something that someone else can do it, even though I know you do it the best, but that someone else can do while you're gone for 5 minutes. Okay. And then again, once you get that momentum going and you understand, you know your systems, keep with them for a little bit. Be patient with your progress. Be patient with your success. We say give your success grace. Don't move on to the next thing right away. You're like, okay, I got these red velvet cakes. I'm good. I'm going to use that same thought process, that same way that I do the red velvet cakes with my lemon cakes. Well, you know what? Doesn't always work that way. The ingredients may not hold in the same manner or the like. So you be mindful of that. And then maybe there's special ingredients you have for something that you have to get permits for or the like. Or if you are just offering baked goods, then yes, ice cream may go with them, but why are we offering ice cream? Because we think it's going to get us an extra $5, but it's costing us $25. It's costing us $40 in labor. It's getting more people in, but they're not spending more. And then that's one of the things I want you to think about too. More people do not need more money all the time. And that's when we steadily try and get new customers and a lot more customers. It's not that we're asking our customers to pay more, but we're asking them to be more consistent instead of, oh, this is good, I'll buy one once a year. And I'm a once a year type of person too, I know. So what you try and do is that you stay consistent in what you're doing, you respect the customers that come to you. That's what I call your actual community that you've created. And you keep trying to serve them instead of saying, okay, I know I already have you. Let me get the next person. Work with the customer you have. And then when we're going to talk about marketing a little bit, or if you ask questions and everyone's like, get on social media, get on Instagram, get on TikTok, get on LinkedIn. First, figure out where your people are, because if you have a visual business, then yes, you will most likely want to be on Instagram. But if your clientele is not on Instagram, but they're on Facebook, then you stay on Facebook because you could still do pictures. And I know LinkedIn is doing all this amazing things now that's trying to make it look like Instagram, but LinkedIn is, if you're going from business to business. So you think about not what someone's telling you or where you could go, or there's another channel, but what works for you. I want to stick with one. I don't want to learn something that's going to take me a little bit more time for me making my cake. And then for your long-term success, I'm rushing through these because I want to get into the examples, but what you do is you make sure that you keep those legal protections. We'll talk about trademarks, but your licenses, and you can license out your goods and services, but contracts. And I'm making this face. I know my screen is up for most not to see my face when I talk about contracts. You know how we do as neighborhood and small businesses. We do not, we work with the handshake, as they say, the hug, all right, I got you kind of thing. We don't even write things down. We used to at least say the napkin contracts. Now it's just everyone's verbal, and we expect everyone to remember. We have a lot going on in our minds. So it's not that people or you are even trying to get out of a contract. You just don't remember what you said. And so then you want to make sure that you have the contracts in place, and that includes how you're going to get paid and what happens if someone doesn't pay you, because a lot of times we don't have that. And then we have to think on the fly about, okay, this person wants a refund. Well, then you refund them and somebody else finds out that you gave them a refund, but you're like, wait a minute. Then everyone's asking for a refund when originally you weren't doing refunds, and they were like, well, you refunded their money in 5 days right away. So you want to have systems, and if it's things that you don't do, you will definitely say that, maybe it's a case-by-case basis, or you don't even say that it's a case-by-case basis. You'll say no, and then you let the case-by-case basis happen, because sometimes, there's always going to be something, but you just make sure whatever contracts you have in place, and these are things of somebody coming to pick up something. I'm not even talking about robust contracts. If somebody's supposed to be somewhere and pick up something at 8, you made a contract that, it's acceptance, offer and acceptance. I will give you what you need if you come at 8. You come at 8:30, I'm gone. You do not get your cake. And that is the end of end. And maybe you might have lost some money with that, but you have to let people know. And you have to think about these things ahead of time. And again, you set up systems where someone can't say, oh, I'm going to pay you the other half. You're like, oh, no, you can pay it all at once. And I think I was talking about this the other day. I was in half different ways for people to pay you. And I was talking about this with Imam Salim. If you can remember that from Masjid Muhammad, one time we were taking zakat. And I was like, oh, well, I don't have any cash on me or anything like that. He was like, oh, that's all right, Sister Latanya, here you go. And he pulled out a little thing for me to I don't even think we had the tap then, but it was something where I could use my card and slide it through. It was like, you're fine. So you don't make it hard for people to pay you also, but when you are doing something, let them know, how their money is being accepted. It can be accepted. What'll happen if, they don't pay you as you said, as they said you were going to get paid, all right? And then, again, you think about these things. Again, we're talking about not just doing the next thing, but strategy. So we're thinking about all the things that could happen that are so wonderful in our business. And also, we think about some of the things that don't always work in our favor. So before I go on, because those are my 6 M's, I can go through them again, but does anyone have any questions or I have an example of going through a business, but remember, I'm here. This is one of those times it's a resource. So any question you may have. Yes. Okay, so we could talk about that too. So I do trademark and copyright. And a lot of that is, of course, we're talking about our brand name, and I'll utilize it particularly for small businesses. One of the things, so my example is Bakura's Baked Goods. And so with this in itself, Bakura, this is her name. So she may want to have her name get a trademark. She wants to protect her name so that someone else doesn't come up with Bakura's Baked Goods. Now, there is a little bit of nuance with the trademark laws with utilizing your name, but saying, for instance, Bakura's, Bountiful Baked Goods, more or less, not necessarily descriptive, you would get a trademark of that. But when you have certain things also, we're always thinking about our brand names and names of our business, but what's inside of your business that you have that could have what we call our intellectual property. And that's of course, your intellect, your innovation, your thought process, your ideas, but it's, I also call it the blood, sweat, and tears part of it too. So if we're thinking with baked goods, these may be recipes that have been in the family for a while, or that she's perfected, and there's some secret ingredient, everyone has a secret ingredient to something, but she may really have a secret ingredient that, one, either makes it taste just amazing, or that it stays moist for 40 days. That's a bit much for cake, but she may have something that works for her. So in that sense, you have a trade secret. And everyone talks about, your trademarks, which is your brand name, you're the source of it. Your copyright, which is something creative. So maybe it's a certain way that she makes her cake. There are little designs or so that go with it. And then that would be it. Patents is if you have a methodology, but she could have a way, maybe she comes up with something, it could be mechanical, electrical, just even a methodology of how her cakes are made. But we forget about those trade secrets. And the trade secret, the protection with that, the other ones, you go to the offices, the trademark office, you get a trademark. What's the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, where you get a registration, you file for a registration for a trademark. You'll file for a registration for a patent. The Copyright Office, you'll register for that. Trade secrets, there is no federal registration because the thing is, it needs to be a secret, so no one finds out about it. So this is when we start to do things. You need to have everyone who's involved sign non-disclosure agreements, because it's no longer a secret if somebody finds out about it. And the reason why it is an intellectual property that it's protected is because if it gets out and someone else knows your secret, they're going to make money off of it. So this is something that you need to hold tight so that no one else finds out about. Otherwise, you lose the advantage. And with patents and copyright, those two are out there for the public to benefit from. And you want to have that innovation out there, and that's why these things expire. So copyright expires, a patent expires, a trademark does not expire as long as you keep renewing it, because that's you, that's your name. It's just like if it's Tanya, I don't want somebody to be, or Bakura to be able to use that name. You should be able to use that name of your business, keep the goodwill of it all the time. So that's the one that doesn't expire. The others are out there for the world to benefit from what you have. Whereas the trade secret, only you should. I mean, they get the benefit from what you do, but the word should not get out. So if you have things in your business, and this is a big one, and it's not just, people think about recipes because we know the trade secrets when we think about the Coca-Cola, right? Supposedly they have a secret to their ingredients, and what are the things? What is it? They passed it on the way. Kentucky Fried Chicken supposedly, like things we could reverse engineer, we could kind of make it close, and we know. But when you really think about how things, you may have those same 8 ingredients or whatever, but it's how you put them in, when you put them in, at what time. If there's, a certain amount of air coming in or things like that. So that's one of the things. So I do make sure that when you have a small business, that you are thinking of your business as a vast company, because those are things that most people think about. If you're one person, Bakura, it's just like, well, I just sell one red velvet cake, a couple times a year, my family, people come in, kids, their teachers or something like that. Maybe someone orders from you, but she does something that no one else can do it, and she does it in a manner that no one else can do, then she can really benefit from that. But we don't always think that way. Like maybe there is a methodology of how she gets her, supposed to be a sweet potato cake or something that I have her making, that how it can stay fluffy and also maybe hold its shape. Okay, so these are things we think that come natural to us. And I want to mention that just in our business, because I do it myself. And because you know your business better than anyone, and you have amazing just intellect and just the innovation that comes from you, but you'll see it as something that you do. You're like, oh yeah, I do this in my sleep. But yeah, this is what, you don't know how to do this? No one knows how to do it. Like we think a lot of times that the things that we know how to do, that everyone knows how to do. And they're like, no, they don't. So people need you. And when you are putting, and I'm saying this to myself right now because I forget it, that you forget that the things that you could do so easily, that not only do other people need from you, you need to let people know that you can do them, and then to also let them know that, yes, no, you cannot do this. So, but I will help you in doing it. So you respect, as you ask for others to respect your innovation, what you do, you as that CEO and that mindset have to respect it yourself and give it that extraordinaire, that this is something that is special. And that's one of the things that we do, just as small business owners, we're always trying to help everyone but ourselves. We do a lot of times. And it's just so many of us are so passionate about what we do. We just love what we do. We love when other people enjoy it, but we tend to forget not only the beauty of it, the good that's in it, but really how I should say, the specialty in it that can make us money, that can help us with the generational wealth, that could pass things on for others. We forget that. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. So in small businesses tend to have a lot of passion around the widget part of it, and they get tripped up on the how to run the business.
Yes.
And so in your 6 M's, are there 2 or 3 that maybe tend to trip small businesses up
Yes.
to keep them from being able to actually grow, expand, and do the things of running a business?
I'm going to run through these quickly because we could go through Bakura's, but okay, here's one. We flush money down the drain. And what trips us up is thinking that we need so much more to do what we could easily do for less and quicker. So this is going to be 2 or 3 things. We not knowing our financials. We just don't know our financials, and we get caught up in just trying to make money that we don't think about growing to make more money. We're just trying to stay afloat. And that's our biggest thing that gets us in trouble, because that stops us from other things. When we don't have money, then what happens? We get stressed. And I always say this, that desperation leads to disaster. And so what happens then? We're like, well, I need to get more money. So again, going back with that example, if I was doing red velvet cakes, I'm like, well, maybe red velvet cakes aren't enough. I'm going to have to put in lemon cakes. Maybe I need to add something else. Then we just start overwhelming ourselves, doing too much, just getting away from what we want to do. And then we're spending money. A lot of times we think if we're making money, that we're doing good. And you're doing well, but you're not doing great. And you may not be getting to what your vision is, your why, as that may be. So you may have it where, yes, I'm making 100,000. Again, we're talking about, we're like, I'm in the 6 figures, but mortgage is gone. You're telling your kids, you might want to work this year or get, figure out if there's another scholarship or come home, because you can't understand. You're like, but I have hundreds of customers. I'm bringing in 500,000 a year. What is going on? We're not thinking about the money going out. We're seeing money come in, and we just don't know, again, where it's going. And a lot of times we can't figure out, is it going to and that's where I'm going with the next slide. Is it going to our equipment? Is it going to our ingredients? Maybe we can get those ingredients somewhere else. Maybe remember I had the fitness studio. Now, it wasn't me who put in marble counters. I have a fitness studio. Do we need marble counters in a fitness studio? This is at the front desk. We do not. This was at the front desk. It just so happened my developer had some extra, and he stuck it there, but it was like, oh, this is supposed to be great and grand. I think the showers had Italian tile or something. My members, again, they said, that's cute. First, we don't even need the showers, so that was nice of you to put those in. Remember, I was talking about expanding, because we see money, then we try to do the next thing. We're like, oh, we're making money. Maybe we need to get bigger, instead of making sure that we stabilize what we have. So I'll say that we don't stabilize the success. We don't look at the gaps, because we're blinded by those dollars. So we're thinking if money's coming in, no gaps. We're tired, we're starting to see our health deteriorate. If something happens, we can't take those vacations. Or if we get sick, if someone on our team gets sick or something, we can't hire someone to help us. It's because we didn't look at the gaps. So one of the things I always talk to people about, and that was just a great question and a segue into, you can offer high-end experiences for low amounts of money, so low cost to you. And what you have to think about, but you have to know your business. Again, we don't know our business. We know what we love to do, but we don't know our business. Yes.
What about location?
So, and this is the thing too, because you get the online, and I say when you're looking for business consultants, they're always talking about, oh, you could do this online, you could do this, and you just do that. But what if you have a brick and mortar? What do? We get in trouble with the location. And this, I'm going to go back on what I was saying about community-based businesses, because we want to be there for our community. So what do we want to do? Or what's instinctive to us? Staying close to home, right? That is very instinctive to us, to stay close to home. And then what do we want to do next? We want to give to those who gave to us. So we want to stay in our communities. So there is a lot that you might have to do, and then to know your business. If you're staying in a community for goods and services that may not understand the value of your goods and services as much as you do, and as much as maybe another community does. And that's where we talk about branding and messaging, and now going with that location, because sometimes you just have to tell people just how amazing you are, because they don't know. They've seen so much that isn't, or here we go again, it's expected. Yes, my Nana, she made the best red velvet cake. You should be able to do it too. What's wrong? It took her 3 hours. That's fine, but when we're trying to be in our communities, you have to look at a location, especially if you're brick and mortar, that is going to satisfy and help you make the goal and achieve your why. Are you going to be in a location where you have to be there all the time? So is this in an area, or are you going to have a space that you or someone has to be in, or can they just go in and grab? It used to be a company called Sprinkles Cupcakes. I know I must really be into sweets. I'm not supposed to have sugar. That's what's the problem. So I'm living vicariously through this, right? My doctor was like, cut down on the sugar and all of the things, right? So with that, but Sprinkles used to have vending machines. So they would bake, these would be fresh baked cupcakes, but you would go to the vending machine and grab your cupcakes instead of having to have a store. Do you need a location? Can you do a pop-up? I work with a lot of people who maybe you rent out a space or you get a permit, you're in the park, there are a lot of businesses that they would love for you to come, even if it's just 1 week, a building. You don't have to buy a building, but I'll give you caveats on that too. Maybe you can rent out space from someone else, like, here, if they have a space, maybe you have a wonderful place where people can meet, but what they would love, their customers, their clients, their community, to have something to eat. So speaking of, I'm gonna make this quick, but they would like someone to bring in food. So that's where you come in. But I'm also going to answer this and be very truthful about this. When I had my fitness studio, I was on the north side, and I looked for in the South Loop, Bronzeville, this is about 10, 12 years ago, the rent was too high, as they say. The rent was too high, and there weren't enough residents around. They were just starting to build up. So for that business, and there were a lot of places that were going to swallow my fitness studio in. But the reason why I was starting my studio was because I worked for a big box gym, and the members weren't getting what they wanted. So I had this idea like, okay, I know I have people who want to work out, they want dance classes. So my studio was, it was a dance class. We had samba, African dance, we had Mexican Aztec warrior dance. So like, I was really about bringing culture to dance, like people learn about culture through dance. However, I thought that would have worked really well in my own community because it was our culture. It was our dance. It's how we communicate. I couldn't afford the rent that was, and I'm talking about the north side. So you can imagine that their rent was, excuse me, a lot more that higher, but for the space and who's coming in, there weren't enough people for me to justify the rent.
So that's my question.
Yes.
I saw on the south side, they have this fitness club. It was built brand new, so it was been there for what, 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
Now it's locked down. So all these on 115th and Halsted, it's been open for 11 to 12 years. Now all of a sudden it's closed.
That's the best point. I'm so thankful for you making that point, because here's another thing. If your business, you come into this community and you decide that you're going to do something for the community, you're going to make positive effect and change with your business, but you are running your business as a small business, and people are coming to this community because they're coming for your cakes, or even they're coming for your fitness services and everything, but you are not running your business the way that's sustainable, then you close down. And not to put the pressure on anyone, but it's the effect, it can end up being a domino effect, that if you were there to make this change with this community, but now you don't have the resources to keep this business going, then that dream that you have for your community, now you're a disservice, to your community. Again, we're not going to really think about it that way, but I want you to think when you are putting your business together that you are making sure that you stay afloat, because I'm talking about, again, generational wealth, because it's the things that you are doing and you go in because you want to make this positive effect. But if you can't stay afloat, and maybe you had 10 people that you were employing, and now because your business is going under, that's 10 people in your community that don't have jobs now. But also, we have to do a lot of things on our own that we can do, and we start out small. So maybe we don't have that big box gym, because I know which one that is. Actually, yes.
Pat, you said patent expires.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How long will the person can have that?
And that's funny because I cannot remember. I feel like it's like 20 years. I forgot how you can renew it. But the reason why they do that, and there is a good reason. You want people to be able to, so if you all come up with some, and I'm going to use this as a drug, so say a blood pressure medication or something like that. So they're like $500, if you let the company tell you it's $500 for a 90-day supply or something like that, if you're using your brand name. But if another company can come in and use those same ingredients and make the generic version that's $25, then the public is going to benefit most because you want it for that health reason. But in the beginning, this is your innovation, and your innovation is worth money, blood, sweat, and tears. Again, you should get paid for it. But that's why those expire.
We have people online
Oh, yeah.
asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
If they
So I'll go
want
in.
to ask a question, they can
Yes.
just unmute themselves and ask your question.
And while they're doing that, I'm going to answer the sisters.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
yeah.
one of my questions was, how long does the copyright last again? I think it's like 80 years.
Well, now and it depends. And so with your copyright, and I always want to say 75 number, and this is, I should know, a 95. It's the life of the author. And then, forgive me for not remembering 75, 90, 95 years, but afterwards. So that's why a lot of times when we're talking about Disney or things that go into the public domain, these are things, yes, I know, I should know. But do know that, one, and it depends, this leads to another greater point, is so after you pass, then the years after, so that your family, your estate can benefit from it, okay? And the second thing, but it's the last author. So if you do something joint with joint creation, then that, and then it depends on when and how it was published, when, and if it was a work for hire. So remind me to go back for work for hire, but yes.
But my other question was, okay, you were talking about the red velvet person.
Oh, yeah.
But what about changing and adapting to your market? Like say like if your red velvet cakes weren't selling,
Oh.
you just go ahead and sell the lemon cake?
Well, then that's important. So and I was saying it in a sense of if your red velvet cake is selling, you're like, oh, let me try something else. And you should know, but that's a great point because you should innovate. You should say, hey, my red velvet cake is selling. Let me try lemon. I have a great, amazing lemon cake. I usually tell people if you can, stick to 1 to 3, no more than 3. But if your red velvet cakes aren't selling, that's what you have to know your business. Get in and say, I think they're the best, but I need to move on. I need to get those lemon cakes because then your business goes down. So you have to keep constantly, and that's what the maintenance of your business, seeing, well, maybe red velvet cakes sold better in the 90s, but now I don't know what cakes are selling now, then you have to move on. But don't let your customers also dictate what you're selling, because not to put it in for our generations, but if Gen Z wants a certain thing, but you know that your audience, your customers, Gen X, then you keep with your Gen X, your millennials with Gen Z, because everyone's finicky, and if you're following what they're doing, that's not the trend. That's not the trend anymore. But now you've spent so much time trying to keep up, almost as they say with the Joneses, but you keep up with trends that you lose out and you fall behind. But definitely, and you have to see. Oh, did we get a question?
We can take about one or two more questions.
Yes.
And we'll have to, bring it to a close.
Oh,
But
alhamdulillah.
since has some food next time, just want to look at them.
Oh, yes. Were there any questions online or anything?
Open up
Okay.
and ask the questions, I guess not.
I wanted to follow back through to about expenses. So one of the things that we were talking about, where do people, the top three, besides the finances and what they do is, and then it's expanding too quick or not knowing your market and then trying to be trendy. So you can always offer, because I know us, we all do, we offer these amazing goods and services, but how do we do this that, yes, profit is important, revenue is good, money, but you want that money to have to do what you want, and so that you can put it back into your business or your community. Software. Software is a big one, especially if you don't know technology. It's easy for someone to tell you, you need a big Apple computer and you need all of this and you need a video camera. And if you're going online to YouTube, when you can use your phone, and it doesn't have to be an iPhone, it can be, Android, as long as you can get it to stand up on something, prop it against some books or things like that. So I always tell people, when you're hearing about things, research one, but most people want you to try things out. And also, if you are offering trials or, something free, make it free once and then give them a little sample and then have them buy the big thing. But look for the free versions. There are so many things that I use that I've been using for years that have brought me in money that have cost me less than $10. And other people are like, I'm paying $300. We're you same company. What are you doing? And it's just because it says it has so many features. Do you need those features? You are never going. I looked at my car and I was like, I had the car for 5 years. I still didn't know what to do with it. And I know what I can do with a car. There are so many things. I'm like, what is this eco sport thing? I'm not going to use it, but they sold it to me like that, right? So these are the things you have to think about. You don't need so much of. Another thing is, get in, when people are telling you, and this is for your business, believe in people. Try and support them. So if someone is coming out with innovation, we're going to go, oh, well, somebody came out with this, but I don't trust them. I'm going to Apple because I know Apple. And that's how people built up their brand. That's what you want to do. But if someone's coming to you and they're saying, I have a software, do you want to try it out? Now, if they're reputable, you know them, give them a chance. Don't spend all your money trying to, fund their business. But there's a lot of things that I've tried out. And there's some things that don't work out too well. People are trying, but that if you get in the beginning, you know how it is when we first started, just, you start in that kitchen and then you have that big bakery that you reward the people who got in first, your founders. So if people are doing some innovation and you know that they have technology or things like that, everybody starts out small. Try those out. I look for lifetime deals. So you pay once. And sometimes it works out though. And sometimes it doesn't. So you have to be mindful of that. You don't need apps. You can use Google sometimes. If you need an inventory, you need to figure out, if you don't have 3,000 customers, you only have 30, and maybe your business is the type that 30 is a lot. As long as you have your system, you can use the spreadsheet. Really quick with AI. All right, I'm gonna talk to you about AI. Oh, also with that, it just shows I spend more money on education than anything. Spend your money on what brings growth to you. So even if it's learning how to do something. AI. There's this thing about AI, and I'm a lawyer, so I get it. And I'm an intellectual property lawyer, so I'm all about people keeping their innovation. But when we think of AI, we're not thinking about what we do every day. Now, even if you do a Google search, the first thing you do when they come up, they've given you, this is what Google Gemini said. You did not ask Google Gemini for anything. Where's my Google search that used to be here? Like, I did not ask your opinion or your lifelong story on what I want. But that's where we are now. A lot of things are utilizing AI. We're not utilizing it. And there's everybody heard of ChatGPT, and yeah, there's a $20 a month version, I think it is now. But if your business doesn't need that, they have a very robust free version. I use it all the time. I use it to do this presentation. But you know, with AI, you get out what you put in. So as a lot of people say, you put trash in, you're going to get trash out. You got to know what you're asking for, and you're not going to use it as a crutch. You're going to use it as a team member. You are the leader of your business. You know your business best. I'm not going to put in something where I need to do a presentation on real estate law, because we would all lose all of our property if I was doing real estate law. Now, I could go into ChatGPT and give you a whole 2-hour presentation on real estate law. And yeah, I know a little bit about the law, but there might be a whole bunch of things in there that I'm giving you bad advice and things like that, just because they're taking what they've been given. So you have to know, if you're using AI, what is, you got to know a little bit from behind the scenes of what you're asking it to pull out. But there's so many things that you can use it for. So say if you came up with an idea, what's the best way if I'm a bakery? What's the best way to tell people about what I'm doing? What neighborhoods in Chicago don't have that many bakeries, or that what community, you know, what group of people like red velvet versus who like lemon meringue, you know, pie or something. Is this a pie city? Is this a cake city? You know, things like that. If you're sending out emails, what would be engaging for people, even with your social media? It helps you with posts, even if you have no idea. If you want to post something, 3 sentences. This is what I do in my business. I'm a baker that offers gourmet cakes, and I just like to get the word out. What are some ways that I can get the word out? So you're asking questions that you would ask yourself. It's a part of being, you're part of your business plan. So if you have a website, what could I put on? How could my bio, did I write my bio? I think my bio was half written with AI, because AI knew, I'm trying to figure out which bio I gave you. So that's why I said a lot about business, because it took what my business was. But if someone needs a bio that's more business-based, script, if you do YouTube, or I have a podcast, and I'll go in and say, well, and this is this, and I'll do it with the teeth smacking and everything, you know, going in the way I say it. And I said, could you please make this sound a little bit more professional, or less professional, less legalese, so that people will understand it. So we could do things like that. But if I'm saying, I would like to start a bakery business, please help me, and that's the end of that prompt, then maybe you'll get some good things and maybe not. But you don't want to just go in and have it set up the business for you. But you can try it out that way. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that, and see what comes out, and then you take from it. But you have to have a little bit of a knowledge base with it. But I always tell people to utilize, and now they have images. I'm going to talk about images though, images that come out, but they can even do graphs, code. I know some software engineers that go in, but again, you have to look at that code. You have to know code. So there are many things that you can get out of it. Lawyers use AI all the time. They do. So it's just that you have to be careful with the sources that you're using. And we don't know what we don't know now. So I mentioned images. The problem with, you know, some of those images that come out, where's Bakira? Let's go back. For those who can see, where's Bakira? This is the AI generated image. I said, I need an African-American Muslim woman who is doing baked goods. This is what came out. And I used this with Canva. So you may hear about Canva. This is, and this is the free, I think it shouldn't be the pro, you get a couple of these. So this is the free service. It gave me this image. If you look really close at her hands, they might be, a little bit, but you could even move that around. But there are things like that that you can go in and say, this is what I need. What I'll tell you is, that somebody may look and say, hey, that sister looks familiar or something. You just have to watch where they get that source from. Where I got it from, they get a lot of stock images, and I'm noticing that they're probably generating through that. But be mindful of where you're getting your AI sources from and what you're extrapolating from it. And legal, financial, medical advice, be very, very wary of it. I'll go in there and say, I need a contract for something. Let me see what you have. And sometimes it is exactly what should be in that contract. And I am so amazed. And then sometimes, especially with trademarks and copyrights, it'll say something about, well, they should copyright their logo. And I'm like, Allah, no, it's trademark, so it's that they don't necessarily know everything. And I did not mean to get to that page, but I'm glad this is up. I'll take another question, but for this, I do have a workbook, and it's a quick landing page, because we were talking about landing pages. Another thing is that people try and have web pages, and you don't need a robust web page. Take it from somebody who creates and designs web pages. You don't need to. You just need to get someone's email address, make sure that they know, what you're doing with their information. If you have anything online, you have to have a privacy statement. It is the law. So you are collecting someone's information, even if you're collecting it in person, have something down saying that we're just collecting your email. We keep it just for emailing you advertisement, which could be, it doesn't matter, even if you are advertising to them, just let them know, we're going to send you promotions. People want that. I want my 50% coupon. Yes, please send me, email. So it's not a bad thing if people are utilizing your information. You just tell them what it's for, that this is going to stay with me. I'm not going to sell it to anyone else and things like that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anything else? You got any legal questions? Yes.
Why are you making me hungry?
I know, this is what happened. I don't know what happened. I think because I don't know if I came up with a cure first or the baked goods or whatever, but I was thinking about, there was the Q&A. Yeah. So this is good. See, I did this on purpose. See how we help the community? That after this, then we go and we eat. But if there are any more legal or business that more or less, these are things we all know. There's nothing that we don't know. It's things that we don't think about and we don't put together, but it's just see your business as what it is. It's this amazing, extraordinary thing that only you can do, that is unique to you. It's the same business. We can all have 3 fitness studios. We can all have 3 grocery stores. We can all have wonderful baked goods, but there's something about you. And maybe it could just be your personality, the way that you do things, the way that you greet your customers, the way that even you package things. But it is something unique to you. And there is a reason why people come to you. And once you know that, hold on to that, but don't let it consume you as well. Like, let your business build itself and it grow with strategies and not necessarily because you're funding it. So have a small business that is robust and grand, and know that even just doing one cupcake to reach someone in Iceland, and that's a global business right there, okay? So that's what I want you to know. That's just a rough. As they say, eat. No, inshallah. And I'm gonna. Oops.
I got here, did she give out any business cards?
Oh, probably. You have to talk to her. I don't know. She didn't give me that since presentation. Assalamu alaikum. Could I have your attention in the back, please? Have your attention in the back. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'd like to thank Sister Tanya Fisher for that wonderful presentation on some good advice on strategies about small businesses, getting to start business, and how to protect our businesses if we have one. And so we'd like to thank Almighty Allah for blessing this everyone to coming out. And we appreciate you. We appreciate you supporting this event, the 4 Sunday public address between Ifan Bar Culture Center and Masjid at Taqwa. And if Imam Tariq, if he'd like to come up and have a comment, you know, I can come up this time before we close out. 30 seconds.
Y'all smell the food, right?
Oh, yeah. I think that you can just hold them in your hand if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna sit down. I'll just, I'm right.
One for each.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alamin, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. And I am one of those people who knows her as Latanya Fisher. Yeah, some 40 plus years ago. So yeah, beautiful presentation. And this really is, give it up, give it up. I think this is emblematic of what we kind of set out to achieve, is not just to be talking at ourselves, but to be talking about things that have real resonance and value for us. So I took some notes. You know, we're gonna stop flushing money down the drain. And you know, alhamdulillah. Yeah, so we ask that Allah continue to bless us in our endeavors and our intentions to make the most out of our association, because there's so much value that we have. So thank you, and assalamu alaikum.
Okay, we have some food next door, some dinners. We actually just make a donation of $10. We'd like to thank everyone again. May Allah, let's close out with a dua. Bless us from our efforts. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
I guess.